Hello, patrons. Welcome to definitely our first take of this video.
Yeah, the first one, one and done, like you do.
Professionals.
Professionals.
Today, we're going to be going over some of the stuffs and things you're seeing on the whatever that display thing is called. We made gear and equipment and rules for how durable it is and its condition and all that kind of stuff. Took us a long time. We're going to try to run it down for you guys pretty succinctly. And yeah, that's what we'll get to.
Everybody know what's up with it. And we've got some example items we'll talk about as well, just to kind of give everybody a feel for what it is, instead of us just throwing rule words at everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so we'll start with the first thing on the sheet. Weapons. And we've talked a little bit about weapons in the past. Actually, yeah, let's just talk about, I guess, what kinds of gear there really are, which we can go over to that other sheet that's going to look really funny, but don't worry, we'll walk y'all through it.
Yeah.
So obviously there's weapons.
Yep.
There's armor.
Mm-hmm.
You have general items. Those aren't items that give you a promotion to, like, the highest military ranking. They're items that you just use for general purposes. Like,
yeah, those are the promotion items are admiral items. It only works in the Navy for some reason. But yeah.
Right. So stuff like rope, weapon repair supplies, which we'll get to. Martial items, so weapons for martials. Humor items, which are not like squeaky noses and stuff. They're like items using any of the 5 humors. And then, of course, Aegis.
You thought she was getting whoopee cushions, but no.
Yeah, whoopee cushions would be general items.
They would be.
So, or martial items, depending on how you, I guess,
depending on how you use that whoopee cushion.
Yeah. It's like whoopee cushion full of gunpowder. It's like, oh yeah, that's probably a weapon. I don't know why you put it in a whoopee cushion, but I.
It's panda. Who knows?
That would definitely be a panda thing. But yeah, this is mostly things we talked about Aegis before, so we'll kind of go back over that when we get to it. But as far as items go, we've kind of given them their basic statistics. Let me scoot actually in on frame here. Statistics. And
I'm in shadow. There we go.
Yeah.
You can see me now.
That way you know how to stat your items out and that sort of thing. So for weapons, what are the important pieces of it? How much lethal damage does it do? How much stamina damage does it do? How complex is it? Now, the first two are pretty self-explanatory. Complexity is kind of our own stat. That's how many actions it takes to fire or swing the weapon. How many actions it takes you to use the business end to do its business. So you can imagine for something very basic, very simple, that you just point the pointy end at what you want to stab and stab. That's usually going to be one action.
Yeah.
For things that are kind of complicated, they may take multiple. Okay, so reload and capacity kind of we kind of put them together for the purposes of the spreadsheet that you just had a glimpse of. Reload, how many actions it takes to reload a weapon, usually for like a firearm or some like type of ranged weapon. Capacity, how many shots do you get before you have to reload? So if we were to use, like, imagine a single action army revolver, 6 shots, generally speaking, and then after 6 shots, you know, however many actions it takes you to load it. I did actually make stats for a single action army type revolver earlier today, so that'll be in the gear sheet when we look at it. It actually gave it a special quality for its reloading, but I'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, so reload, capacity stat, yeah, pretty simple. We're trying to keep it relatively simple. Range, there will be basically a optimal and far range. So if you're at or lower than the optimal range, then you shoot with no specific penalties. If you're past that into the end of the far range is when you take like die penalties to your rolls with that weapon. So yeah, just tells you the effective ranges. Durability and repair actually go hand in hand because of how our gear system kind of works, which we'll touch on here in a moment. But the basic description, as you can see on screen, is that the durability functions as the HP of the item. Objects or gear are immune to stamina damage and take only half the normal lethal damage. Repair rating determines how long an item takes to field or full repair.
Which we'll talk about more when we get to repairs.
Exactly. And then after that is type. Ranged, melee, or special also includes the skill used. So like ranged weapons will be like, a lot of times we'll put things like small arms or long arms and stuff in that, so you know like what skill this weapon uses. But we'll also spell out if it is a ranged weapon, if it is a finesse weapon, if it is those just little things that kind of give you those descriptor bits. Mostly so that we can call back to them when we get to things like boons and talents or class abilities and other stuff. So that way, if we want to call on specifically, for some reason, hand-loaded weapons in an ability, well, hand is one of the general properties here in a second, so that we could like actually call to that, so you can see if your weapon has that property, then this ability applies to it. Ranged weapons require ammunition to work and must be reloaded if they run out in order to function. They can't deal lethal damage through an Aegis. They only deal stamina damage against an Aegis's absorption. Melee weapons require no ammunition, but require one to be much closer to land a strike. Melee weapons bypass the Aegis, but they also deal stamina damage. They deal lethal and stamina simultaneously. That's kind of the advantage. You don't have to worry about the Aegis, and you hit pretty dang hard if you're whacking somebody.
Yeah. Of course, offset by the disadvantage of you have to be close to them to hit them.
Yeah, you got to make it through the hail of bullets first.
Yeah.
Which is no mean feat. Then special, pretty much if special's in there, it's because there's like something in its description that's unique to that weapon. General, yeah, exactly. Then our general properties. These weapon properties call out specific features of a weapon. Hand is for like hand loaded. Bolt is bolt action. Lever action. Single action. Semi auto. Full is full auto, which will be pretty rare. Heavy is one of the few that has like a actual this always means this, meaning it requires two hands to use. Same with bulky. We made two different ones so that like heavy could be applied to things that are two-handed because they're heavy. And the bulky category doesn't mean that it's necessarily heavy, but it just means it's awkward to use in one hand.
Yeah, like I don't know, if you're trying to use like a farmer's scythe,
yeah,
it's a big thing.
Exactly.
It's not something that you could easily wield with one hand. So.
Mm-hmm. And then versatile is you could use it as easily one-handed as you can two-handed. So there will probably be more in that general properties as we like go through and make other things. Just know that they're mostly keywords. For the most part, you're not gonna like once you get this book and all that stuff, you're not gonna have to sit here and memorize what all these things mean. It's really just a point of reference for that item.
Yeah, that should just make it easier to make sure that your abilities apply to the weapons you're using.
Exactly. Special properties, we haven't made a bunch of stuff yet for those, even though those are going to be really fun, because that's where we're going to get our crazy magical things and all the dope stuff. And that is our weapons. But I'm scrolling down here, because let's actually talk about quality and repair system, if you want to take that over, Dave.
Yeah, so like we said, quality is the HP of gear, right? Instead of, or is like the stamina, I guess, of the gear, not HP. The HP.
It's the condition.
Kind of, yeah,
quality is
yeah.
the condition tracker, yeah.
Right. So how this works is there are 8 steps on this. Most things are going to start at 5, which is normal, or 4, which is scuff. And there's actually a thing when we get into the gear and we start talking about the items when we're on the spreadsheet, which will show what stuff starts at. But it basically, the best possible thing you could have is 8, which is Apex Condition, if it's cool. Ability where you add 3 extra die to actions using that item, and its durability is tripled. So it's really good. The only way you're getting this is just some crazy, insane ways of something making an item like this, right? It's not going to be common. It's not like you're going to be able to make regular things up to Apex Condition. You aren't going to just find, an old, rifle or something and be able to apex it all of a sudden. Like this is going to require like a lot of craft skills and like money, and it's not an easy thing. So just for reference, it's not something that everybody's going to have access to immediately. Like eventually you will, but not immediately. So then we have masterwork, which is right below that. You get 2 extra die to actions using the item. Star ability is doubled. Again, you're going to need a master to make this, hence masterwork, right? You have excellent condition, which is add an extra die to actions using this item. It's going to be really nice stuff that you get, still high quality, and it can start out like that. You got normal, so no penalties or bonuses. Scuffed, no penalties or bonuses. We want to give you that extra drop in quality so that like you wouldn't be immediately penalized for just using your stuff. And it kind of gave you that like wiggle room to repair things in time to like get them back to normal and to maintain and keep your gear good. Below that is the weathered condition, so you get a -1 on all checks and challenges using this item, and it's half durability. Below that is damaged, which is -2 to all checks and challenges. It's half durability as well. And a critical fail roll using the item means it's going to drop another condition level. You get to broken, which is -3 to all checks and challenges. It's half durability, and a critical fail drops at 1 condition level, which gets you down to destroyed, which is unable to function and unusable until repaired. It's you want to obviously take care of your stuff before it's destroyed, but it happens. You have any purchased or found items. Like I said, they're probably going to just be at 5. Some of them might be at 4, depends on where you get them. And when we look at the thing later, it's going to have the 5/5 show its condition and it's like max condition, right? So whatever it's at now versus what it could potentially be. Some stuff can't be upped, like just the regular way it is. We're gonna have to have checks and things to make that. There are some things that are just gonna be more frail. They're gonna start at scuffed. It's gonna have that as a way to kind of like make things you find or make things that are really cheap available and still feel usable, but still have somewhat of a drawback for that trade-off for the price or for being essentially found goods or free. Now this brings us to our repair stuff, because if we're working on condition trackers, we're working on repairs. So we have a field repair and a full repair. In order to repair field repair style, which is your quick repairs, right, where you're doing stuff in the field, it's cleaning, it's quick maintenance on something. It's not taking it apart all the way and building it back up. It's the fast stuff. You just need level of proficiency with a weapon to field repair it. When you restore it, you can get it to its max durability for whatever quality rating it's at. And it's going to take you 30 minutes per repair rating. So repair rating is 1, it's going to be 30 minutes. Repair rating is 2 is an hour, right? It's pretty simple. Just keep stacking like that. You have to have a field repair kit or maintenance supplies to do a repair. Or like, you can't fix stuff without parts.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. It's going to cost the amount of supplies equal to the repair rating. So you're spending 30 minutes per repair rating, and you're spending 1 set of supplies per repair rating. Full repair, you need skill in like engineering or craft to do this. It's not something that just everybody can do. It's going to improve the quality rating of an item to the limit of its maximum, right? You can't go over. If it maxes out at normal, you can't make it excellent with this. You'd need a different set of skills, and then it's not a repair, it's an improvement and be a whole bunch of different checks and stuff, and that's obviously up to your narrator, but this keeps it to where, like, yeah, you can fix something all the way up, but you can't just repair it better.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. This isn't... It reminds me very much of like New Vegas, how you would take guns, scrap them to make your guns better. You could never go past maximum condition. Like there was only so high you could repair something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still 30 minutes per repair rating for the repair. And when you're doing this, you get to treat the repair rating of the item as 1 higher per level of quality you're trying to restore, right? So as we're trying to like jump from, let's say, scuff to normal, it's a repair rating 1, you have to treat it like 2 because you're going up a level. Mm-hmm. So that way it's going to take longer, but it's going to be better. I think is the example underneath that. I didn't even read, but yeah. So repair rating of 1 being restored from 4 to 5 takes 1 hour, right? And then it's going to be 30 minutes for the base rating of 1, $1 to condition, which is what I said. Now a repair rating of 2 doing the same thing. It's an hour and a half because 2 is 2 30-minute repairs to make an hour, and then the extra 30 minutes for going up to tracker. So it's just an easy counting game, right? Mm-hmm. We're just doing it and trying to make it to where it's really simple to keep track of. And again, you need maintenance supplies to do all this, and it's gonna be equal to the repair rating of the item plus the level of quality. So same thing as the time. It's the same counting. It's not a new or different set of counting. So it should be real easy.
Exactly. And that's pretty much honestly, that's the thing that took us the longest when we were coming up with this, is like how we deal with that, and then the stats. Once we got those down, simple. So of course we also have armor, which I'll go over very quickly. Lethal rating is how much. So armor is a damage reduction kind of thing. We don't have a specific armor class. It's more our combat, if I remember correctly, is a pretty much flat DC to like be on target, and unless the person has some kind of defensive action they can take, that's going to hit, but your armor is going to automatically absorb a certain amount of that damage.
Yeah.
So the amount of lethal it will absorb is based on its lethal rating. The amount of stamina damage it will absorb is based on the stamina rating. Complexity on armor, since it doesn't take actions for your armor to work, it just needs to be on you, is how long it takes to get it on you. So yeah, how long does it take to put on that armor? Which might seem like it's kind of an erroneous stat to have in its whole breakdown. You can just put it elsewhere, but why not? We already had complexity for everything else, so yeah. We'll just put it here.
It just made sense to reuse the same kind of names, and instead of just having like a time stapled on the bottom, giving it that stat block, giving you an easy place to look, just seemed better.
Yeah, it kind of de-bloats the description, so we can put other cool stuff in there. This mostly matters, obviously, in like downtime situations or whatever, if you're not having your armor on. It is also denoted by either a lowercase m or a lowercase a. M being how many minutes it takes, A being how many actions it takes. Which says our rounds are about 10 seconds. You get 2 actions and a reaction each round. You can maybe drill that down to about 4 or 5-ish seconds per action. But anyway.
There's also an aided stats or an aided property. So you're talking about putting on your armor, which means you're going to need someone's help to put it on. So that's also going to be kind of right in there in that complexity area, where if it's super complex, it's very likely that you're going to need help. Yeah,
exactly. It's really, it really sucks to not have, to like have to shoddily don it, because, yeah. So the save we'll come back to, because that's the unique thing about our armor. Durability and repair works the same as it does for weapons. Durability is how much HP the item has. Like any other object, it takes half lethal damage. It's immune to stamina damage. It's a little alarming if it's not. Like if somebody hits your breastplate with a warhammer and it like gasps, you might take it off.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Repair rating, same as with weapons. Type, we have light, medium, and heavy. It denotes the weight and general cumbersomeness of the armor. This is also where other properties would be listed. So, as you can see down there, general properties, there's stuff like archaic, which these do have some denotations. Like archaic, it has 1 less on its lethal rating versus non-archaic weapons. So, for example, if you're wearing chainmail and somebody shoots you with a crossbow, chainmail provides full protection against that. If you're wearing chainmail and they shoot you with a Colt 45, your chainmail is a lot less effective against that.
Right.
So it'll still help, but it's way less effective. So yeah, that's just all archaic means. Light, medium, and heavy have a description, as you can probably see here. I'm not going to read it out because it's part of that armor save thing. We just spelled it out here so it was in multiple places. Metal, cloth, organic, ceramic. This is just telling you kind of what the armor's made out of, so it can be called out in abilities and things, just like all the other properties.
These are just our fun little keywords to make it easier to latch on to stuff.
Exactly. And then aided, as Dave referenced earlier, says it requires assistance of another person in order to don this. Without assistance, you treat the quality of the armor as too lower. So its overall condition is significantly worse by comparison. Which can affect other things. But special properties still blank as before. Let's talk about the save stat. Now, what save says is it denotes the amount of damage mitigated and taken by the armor when an armor save is made. So there will be 2 values on this save stat here. Let's talk about what an armor save is. In taking damage, the player may decide to declare an armor save, in which case the armor prevents its save rating in damage to the character and receives the second rating in damage to itself. This can be done a number of times per field/full repair, depending on the type of armor. 1 for light, 2 for medium, 3 for heavy. So, effectively, between repairs are what reset it, but a light armor can do 1 armor save, medium armor can do 2 armor saves, and a heavy armor can do 3 armor saves, which is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This is just a emergency, I'd rather my armor get broken than my chest cavity kind of situation.
It is very much in case of emergency, push the big red button kind of thing.
Yes. And it because this game, especially at low levels, is going to be so, well, just call it what it is, lethal. You don't have a ton of HP, and if you get outnumbered, it can be very easy to take a few bullets and go down. So this is kind of a way to increase survivability, but also do another thing that Dave and I talked about that we kind of miss from older RPGs, which is equipment. Is even just non-magical equipment being important and being like a vital thing to an adventurer's cause. This makes it very important, and it makes a bigger difference between whether you're a light, quick, dodgy type versus big, heavy tank person. Other than just, oh, my armor class is higher. It's like, no, this is like, you're way tankier. Your armor can take more punishment. So, it's nice.
It is nice. And I mean, again, we talked about the repairs resetting things. This means that those repair items and being able to repair stuff is going to be important, and utilizing your downtime as a player is going to matter. So it's going to hopefully make not just the combat feel better with having the armor save and you having that choice of when to pop it or not. You're also going to then get to have more choice in your downtime, in your how you manage what you do and what you decide to repair and what you don't.
Exactly.
That good old resource management.
Which is also cool that like it just makes whoever in your party is going to be like your repair person. It gives them an added layer of importance in the group, and how they spend their time is going to be even more valuable.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's weapons, armor. We haven't come with a bunch of like the other types of things, but as you might be familiar with, we do have the Aegis, which hasn't changed.
Yeah, but it needed to be like codified in here, right? We need to make sure that it was put down and that it was part of the items, because it is here. It is what it do.
And it can be upgraded, as in you can buy better ones and that kind of thing. So, but it has the same 3 stats, and we'll go over those briefly again real quick here. First of all, an Aegis is a humor-powered device which stops fast-moving projectiles. Fast moving. I think when we talked about it, I was like probably like looking at about 600 feet per second being the lower limit of like something has to be going at least that fast for the Aegis to be effective on it.
Yes.
So while it is effective against things like crossbow bolts and arrows fired from a bow, because they move very, very fast. Or wait, you know what? Whatever. We'll look that up later. But while it is effective against fast-moving projectiles, it has no effect on, like, somebody swinging an axe at you.
Right.
That's just as fast as that can move. It's not even close to like the speed of a bullet, even like an old school flintlock. Like not even in the same ballpark. But yeah, so that's what an Aegis is. It's pretty much going to be a very small thing. It's going to be a pretty hard target if someone was to try to like shoot it directly or something. They're not very big, but they help stop bullets. The absorption being we'll call it their primary rating, which is how many projectiles it can absorb before it is disrupted. An absorbed projectile only deals stamina damage, so there's some impact that gets through, rather than lethal damage, and no other effects of the attack trigger. So, for example, and we worded that way specifically because if it doesn't penetrate your Aegis, unless specific beats general, so unless there's something that says even if an Aegis stops this effect happens, you can assume things like if someone has explosive rounds aren't going to explode if they hit your Aegis. If they have some kind of poison effect, not going to poison you if they hit your Aegis. Any other additional effects that would come from that attack are canceled, unless it otherwise says differently. So it can be very important for that reason. Let's talk about what it means by disrupted. That's how many rounds the Aegis remains ineffective. So that disrupted rating is the number of rounds your Aegis doesn't work after it pops. Think of it as like your Halo, like a shield in Halo, or any other game that has shields, where absorption is how strong your shield is, how many hits it can take before it pops. Disruption, how long does it stay popped before it regenerates. And then flux is kind of a unique thing. Your flux is a temporary boost to your Aegis absorption rate when it refreshes. It only applies on the round the Aegis refreshes. So let's say your absorption rating is 2 and your flux rating is 1. So you get shot twice, bam. Your shit gets disrupted. The round it comes back, instead of being a 2 rating, your absorption rating is a 3 because of that flux, that like temporary surge in its power when it comes back.
And if you don't take the 1 by the start of your next turn, it just drops off. Off. Oh well, you didn't get hit at least. But if you do get hit, you absorb that 1 for free, so that you're not going to just constantly have your shield getting dropped like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a catch up thing where it's just like you don't get just waxed just because you don't have the strongest shield ever. But and that's pretty much all there is on Aegis. Obviously, later we'll come up with some special ones that may have certain abilities or cool shit about them. You can think of it almost like how your shield in like Borderlands is an item, and some of them have cool shit attached to them. Mm-hmm. We can always do that later as well. Or your storyteller, your narrator, you can obviously feel free to come up with that stuff. These are its stats. Pretty simple. Cool. That's that. So let's go look over at the Google Sheet.
Yeah.
Where we have other things. Let me just move this around a little bit.
So here on our Google Sheet, we've just kind of got some basic example stuff listed for you. Most of the stuff on here is weapons. Our armor, we've just got one of each type, just for quick examples. General items, we've pretty just much got a couple things that we kind of talked about that everybody's going to use. We don't have any martial items or humor items on our example list. And then we've got 2 Aegis to show you kind of the difference between them. Even though we did just talk about it, this will hopefully help crystallize that when you can actually see the stats, like, and make it really stick and make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have, we're on the weapons page. This is where most of everything went. And you'll probably notice pretty quickly that we were fairly simple when it came to the naming conventions. We have short blade, long blade. It's mostly just because our, pool of dice and the stats and statistics on our weapons and stuff it's not massive. So we didn't want to end up just having a million renamed same weapons. They're simple enough to just change a number or 2 around if you really feel like they deserve something particular.
Maybe always for no reason. That scared me.
Right. But they're easy enough to switch stuff around if you really feel like something needs its own sheet. Like you're like, no, Keelage should have something, whatever. Or, no, my Kopesh needs to be its own thing. Like, that's fine, dude. Put a Kopesh in there. Like,
yeah. I mean, and really, you just kind of like, a Kopesh is a short blade for the most part. You just kind of like work off of that. And if you need to make any changes because you think the Kopesh needs to do like a special thing, or because it's not, it doesn't thrust ever. So you can take thrust off of it, but then you can give it maybe a specific extra thing for cutting or whatever, because that's how the blade works.
Yeah, because now it's less versatile. So
yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're keeping those, like some things will be specific. Obviously, we say like dagger, baton, cudgel. Whip is a whip, but we'll be pretty simple for the most part. Like short bow, long bow, we're not going to put like recurve, composite, blah, 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 blah. Like those are, you can kind of do those.
Exactly. And I think the really important thing to look at here, obviously, is how we kind of have it laid out is all of the stats we talked about earlier and the values that go along with them. So lethal is, your dice roll for your damage, for lethal damage, and the stamina one, same thing. And on these melee weapons, they're doing both. Remember, they're doing lethal and stamina on each swing. So you're getting to roll both them dice. All the complexities we have for all this stuff, I think, is 1, right? I don't think we have a complexity 2 thing yet. But there will be some, but we just don't have any yet. But so that's the same all the way down because these are all swingy, stabby, easy things for the most part, or just bang bang things, right? It's very simple. Pull trigger.
Yeah. The only thing with any real complexity is the whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, in which its complexity rating goes up if they're like right in your face.
Yeah.
So.
And then we've got the range on everything. Obviously on melee, you can see the squares are denoted next to the word melee. So we have melee 1. There's one that's melee 1-2. Whip is melee 4-5. Like, so it's got range. It's still a melee weapon, but it's got that range. The dagger also has a throwing range because you can throw a dagger at somebody. The durability and repair stuff is noted right there. So the repair, the number on repair is what we talked about is repair rating. So the 30-minute increments it takes to do repairs and how many repair kits it takes to work on it, essentially.
Yeah. Durability is basically it's HP per quality tier, and then quality over here.
And yeah, we got our quality right there, which those are our rating in here. In between that, so we have the types. So all of the melee weapons say melee. All the range set weapons say melee. We talked about that archaic. That's on there as well. And for the weapons, for the most part, that's the keyword. Like you have, where you're good with archaic weapons, it's going to have that keyword, which is really important to know because there's going to be skills and there's going to be boons and talents that deal with like specifically things being archaic. We've got finesse, we've got cut, throw on the dagger, right? Because you can throw it. We've got bash, so you smash things. All that stuff is marked on here really well. Just takes care of everything. The description, they're descriptions. They're very, it does what it says on the tin most of the time.
Yeah. Yep. And then the only one that has anything extra is the whip, which, as I said before, is basically if something is not in that 4 or 5 range, then the complexity of it goes up by 1. Because it's a little too close for this kind of rangy whip to be used really easily. You kind of have to like alter your wind up a bit. And additionally, it does double the normal stamina damage on unarmored targets because it's a whip. They hurt a lot.
It's meant to do damage to unprotected flesh for the most part.
Yeah. So it's a really effective weapon at incapacitating people, that kind of stuff. But there'll be other things, little special stuff to them. We've added some ranged archaic ones that put a slingshot and R2 bows. And as you can see, that has they have like the archaic, they have the hand because they're hand loaded. The short bow and the long bow have the bulky quality, not because they're like a giant awkward shaped box, but because you can't really use them effectively one-handed.
Yeah, unless your name is Oliver Queen and you're in The Dark Knight Returns and you get your arm ripped off, you ain't using a bow with your teeth in one arm. Like, it's not happening.
Exactly. That's between you and your narrator. If you end up in that situation, just be like, hey, can I shoot my bow with my teeth? Like, if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, we can make a check for that.
I just want to call it too. We got brass knuckles on here, and I love in the description it says you can't be disarmed, which is important unless they cut off your hand, guys. So if they actually
you
dismember you, you are de-armed, you are dismembered. So just know that the brass knuckles do not prevent you from getting body parts lopped off. You want to be as a like, blanket. Cover of like, hey, just so you know, gotta cover the bases.
Like, hey, do you see I can't be disarmed? Well, this is your hand, first of all. And,
dude, you lost your arm. I didn't lose it. It's over there.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. I'm gonna go get it right now.
That is not the point.
So yeah, that's the idea of a like non-archaic simple weapon, even though you could consider it one, but either way. So yeah, it's brass knuckles, and then I put a couple of other things down here. We have the Cutter 45, which is SAA Single Action Army. It's effectively a Colt 45 single action army revolver. It's just, it wouldn't be called Colt in this world because there's no, anyway. So
yeah, it's a real person's name, so it wouldn't make sense. Oh, plus we don't want to get sued.
Exactly. Again, ignore the cost. I say again, just ignore cost. We're just putting numbers in there for now. They don't matter.
Numbers.
It's really just a gauge of whether it seems like it should be more or less expensive than another thing on the list. It's not a denotation of what its price will be in the final game. So here's our Cutter 45. It has a Spethkel in the reload category, and then its capacity 6. So its special that I put down here is when reloading, each action loads 1 plus a small arms check in successes in rounds. Or you spend 2 actions and load all the rounds.
Yep. See, when I saw it, I just thought of Revolver Ocelot saying, "This reload time is exhilarating."
Right.
That's what I thought of. Oh gosh.
So it's like you can either spend the 1 action and get 1 or maybe more rounds in there, or if you're just like, dude, I just need all 6 next round, so I'm just gonna take 2 actions now. Go for it. But this also allows you to do the thing where it's just like you just throw a fucking round in there and take a shot, like because you need to do it, right?
You gotta just take the shot.
So yeah, I thought that was fun. And then the Spence 4070 is a Sharps 4070 straight rifle, which I didn't even put a description on it. I just kind of wrote it down. But as you can see, it does quite a bit of lethal damage potentially, and its range is yes.
Its range is yes. I like
it's a rifle, so.
Yeah.
Their ranges are all going to be really high. That's part of the reason why, if you've seen the maps we've done, we have a close, medium, and long range map where you count the yards differently. So like the long range would of course be if you're like, 2 sides are shooting rifles and stuff like that off at each other. There's no need for us to sit here and count yards one by one when everybody's range is 500 plus. Right?
Yeah.
At that point, we're counting it in the hundreds. So, excuse me. So that's weapons, and then we can try to cover some armor here, and then the Aegis, and that's kind of what we got today.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So there's light, medium, and heavy armor, right? So we got 3 kinds of armor for you, ready to go. Just good examples. We got the padded jacket, which is, it is what it says. It's a jacket with padding in it. It's going to cushion blows, but it's not really going to stop a whole bunch of stuff. It's light. It's cloth, right? It's lethal rating is 1. Its stamina rating is 2, so it's not going to do super great against lethal damage. Kind of helps you with this stamina damage. Its complexity is 2A, so it's 2 actions to put on. And again, when we go down to the medium, we're going to have a 2M, which is 2 minutes to put on. So big difference between minutes and actions here, and we just want to make sure that that's really clear. Its save is 2, and it's got 2d4 for the damage that gets done. Its durability is 4, its parry rate is 4, right? So yeah, its quality is also 4. So it's a lot of 4s on this thing. A lot of 4s and 2s.
And yeah, so when you're looking at the save thing there, like you said, that first number is how much it protects you. So if you desperately need to stop 2 more points of damage, burn the armor, save off this padded jacket, it's going to take 2d4 damage though.
Yeah.
So if you roll max on that, as you can see, its durability is only 4. So if you roll max, it's dropping 2 quality levels immediately.
Which is a big deal.
Yes.
And you're not guaranteed to drop a quality rating when you do this, but it's very likely on 2d4.
It's very likely. Yeah, if you roll average or higher, it's definitely going to drop 1 and be into the next. So yeah, and so this is the kind of thing where if all you can do is sit there and field repair it over and over, and you keep having to burn the armor save, that armor is not going to last long. But yeah, so that's padded jacket, pretty straightforward, very cheap, affordable. Our silceramic armor is silk layers beneath ceramic plates used to protect effectively against ranged attacks. As you see, this absorbs 2 lethal damage, 4 stamina, so it's, even though it's only a one number jump, over the course of time of taking multiple hits, that can really add up, especially if you've got an Aegis on and most of the damage you're taking is stamina.
Yep, it's definitely gonna be relevant.
Yeah. As you can see, its save is significantly higher.
Way higher than just some padded cloth jacket. Yeah.
Its save prevents 8 more points of damage, but it takes 3d4. And the reason we had the save so high, but also the damage so high, is so that could represent the ceramic plates actually stopping the damage, but obviously being broken or shattered in the process, so it takes a lot of damage, but it prevents a lot of damage. Though its durability is not bad. Its durability is 5, and its repair is also 5. So this thing takes a long time to repair. But it is absolutely fantastic in a pinch.
Yep.
Then quality 5, great. And then our heavy armor, it's a knight armor boy.
Yeah, it is obviously it's a big deal. It's stopping 4 lethal and 7 stamina. Like, it's tough. It takes 4 minutes to put on. This stuff is gonna take a while, but it is gonna be worth it. It's got that 8 on the save as well, but it's taking 2d6. But its durability rating is 10. So it's taking way more hits before it's dropping down those trackers. And it's heavy, it's metal, it's archaic.
Yeah.
It's not quite as good at stopping bullets, but that's okay.
That is okay. Because that really means you're only...
The Aegis is 4.
Yeah. That's exactly what the Aegis is for. Which, let's go look at the 2 Aegis we made. Made them pretty simple. I made a crappy one, so we basically have our bog standard, which is the basic one. And we have about as bad as an Aegis should be. Like, if it's worse than this, yikes. So the worst one, description, it can stop a flying bullet once.
Exactly once.
Because its absorption is 1.
Yeah.
Its disruption being 3 means 3 rounds have to go by if you take a bullet. You gotta wait 3 rounds before it can take another one.
Yep. And
it has no flux.
Yeah, no flux. You're not getting any cool bonus.
No bonus. So it can stop 1 bullet every 30 seconds. And some of you may be thinking, but isn't the goal to not get shot? Like, isn't that usually how gunfights work? Is you just don't get shot? Yes.
But sometimes that happens, and you'd really like that little bit of bonus when that does happen.
Yes, this is something that would absolutely change the face of warfare, as it guarantees at least 1 round ain't getting through you.
Yep.
And then, of course, our basic one is a 2-2-1. So it'll take 2 shots every 20 seconds or so. And then its flux is 1. So whenever it gets brought down and then cranks back up, it goes up to taking 3 shots, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you imagine just like the difference, and some of you have probably read the First Chapter of Invoker, in which this is called out, the difference between a group of people with Aegis versus a group of people without them, how big of an advantage that can be in being able to not only move around the battlefield, but even just like take additional risks that can reap rewards. Because an Aegis, because it's magic effectively, covers your whole self.
Yep.
So like even if you get hit in the face, it still stops it.
I know for me anyways, if I had a free bullet, essentially, I would do a lot dumber things
Right.
in my life, just in general.
Especially when most weapons are only getting to shoot 1 bullet at a time.
Yeah.
So
it matters a lot because there's not a lot of fully automatic, rifles or anything, or machine guns even. So, you're taking that 1 bullet. And it's gonna matter. It's a big deal to stop that 1 bullet, even with the crappy one,
Yeah, exactly. So, it's that's the Aegis. Very simple, very straightforward. We do have, general items, rope. It's rope. And then we have our supplies.
There's rope things.
These supplies are things, obviously, that there's going to be 1 for each category. You will have weapon repair supplies, armor repair supplies, general repair supplies, that kind of stuff for, to track that kind of deal. Because
We're also gonna have like
not
tools
the
and
same.
stuff that get added to these, and different things like that. But we don't have all that up yet because it's just so many little things to just go through, and you get, if you've played any TTRPG, you get the general concept of items.
Yeah, exactly. So some of them will be pretty self-explanatory. Kind of waiting until we get to like our actual like end draft, where we actually make sure to spell everything out, just because you don't want to assume people know things.
Yeah.
But here, this is about where it's starting. This gives us kind of a a basis to be able to make our like scrapper class and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, without much else to do, that's the video today, y'all.
Woohoo.
I believe next time our goal is to work on boons and talents. So
Yeah.
that will be fun.
Pretty sure that's what we decided.
That is what we decided. I'm gonna have faith that's what we end up doing, and that'll stay in the recording. So if we don't do that, I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah. Whatever. Call us out for it. Talk to us about it in the chat. It's fine. In the Discord.
Any feedback is good feedback.
We'll
Feedback is
explain
love.
why we didn't do that, and it might be we forgot.
That could also be it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the vid. We're gonna go ahead and sign off here, and you'll get another one on time.
Yes, because this one will be the real first take for realsies
Yes.
this time, guys.
Yes. Bye. See ya.
Bye, everybody.